Right then, you rascals, from a Tuesday afternoon, I want you to remember Tuesday evenings. This comes as a result of a prompt I was given last week at one of my favourite writing workshops. Welcome to Fitness and Thinking, a podcast and newsletter obsessed with 6 pillars of wellness. You have the physical, mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and financial state of being. And I wonder if this taps into all of them, but specifically the spiritual and emotional and financial bits. I'll tell you for why. In the workshop, people spoke on people and on things that they felt shouldn't be forgotten. And David Attenborough came up, 100 years old, bringing so much knowledge and care and kindness to us through our screens as an example. I think for me, Tuesday evenings have this kind of magic through screen moment with them, but it's also the framing of it. When I was a kid, we didn't have an obvious weekly routine while my parents were splitting up. But in that time, Tuesday evenings were fairly predictable moments in which we would get to see our dad. And it was time that I would look forward to. Me, my sister, my dad, we would go probably in a Volvo station wagon, later in a Saab saloon, to Gulliver's in Great Ayton to pick up some fish and chips. For me, sausage and chips, cans of Tango, and we'd go and watch a TV series or a film that my dad loved. Pretty basic. Parenting 101. I would like to think that if I were to be a parent, I would want to create similar moments. And not just because they're probably mentally quite easy to do. They're not too taxing, food and something on the TV, sure. But also because the feeling that I had as a kid was one of safety, of fun. As whatever as that might sound, I was aware as a kid of how special those evenings were. To get to see our dad laugh at something that he liked. Whether we understood whether it was funny, I don't know. I do still think fondly of the original Star Wars trilogy and Fawlty Towers and Only Fools and Horses. That's very much a dad thing, or watching it with my uncle thing, you know? When I watch those things, I think of those people. And to have that feeling still of safety, of warmth, of there being nothing outside of that room. It's not like as kids we had access to anything else. You know, that is what we did on those evenings. There's something about that being what you do that makes it special as well. There's no distractions. There's nothing else to do. I think an issue with modern living is that there's so much to do, or at least there's the illusion of so much to do all of the time, whether it's screens, whether it's easier access to books or to games, or the kind of constant comparison to things that aren't where you are can make you feel like you're not doing enough or you don't have enough quite easily. But when we didn't have the internet and we didn't have smartphones, we just had a TV with an inbuilt VHS, and what we put in is what we watched until we got a TV antenna, and then we weren't allowed to watch Buffy after the first episode. Too scary, we were told. And in fairness, the BBC did move it from 6 o'clock in the evening to 9 o'clock later down the line. So maybe my dad was right on that one. There's something about Tuesday evenings, the midweek, because it's not an obvious day to have magic, that I think we don't have magic on it. And maybe the thought of sitting with your partner or your family or your housemates to eat something and to watch something sounds dull. Maybe it is. Maybe you do it all the time. Maybe it doesn't feel magical because it's repeated. Maybe then it's a case of making your Tuesdays different. What can you do to break up that routine? What I'm suggesting though is that for me, the TV, fish and chips, that was different. Now, spending time with our dad was different. The circumstance made it magic maybe. But the elements of it, the constitutional elements of this magic that I still have this warm feeling about, that I want to profess and I want to give and instill in other people, comes from someone you care about, people you care about, food, and a shared thing or interest. And when you put it like that, it could be going to a board game cafe, it could be going to the cinema, it could be what I've said, it could be maybe making dinner. Everybody chips in. You know, it doesn't have to be high stakes, it doesn't have to be high budget. I think almost the smaller it is, the more local it is, the more repeatable, but just slightly off from what it is that you normally do, the more magical it becomes. It's just an idea to mix things up, and I think also to punctuate the longer episodes that we've had. I've been so lucky to chat with the people that we've had on recently, and we've covered so many huge topics, and hopefully a lot of it has been implementable, whether it's from a urologist or a sports nutritionist, or it's from a yoga instructor, or it's from a PT like myself. A lot of these ideas support each other, no matter how diverse the field, because they're all to do with living well. But what all of these people have in common sometimes is that they're doing everything and optimizing every single variable, and maybe not just be mindful of the mundane. So if I can give you a prompt, if it's just to think about the person or the thing or the moment that you think shouldn't be forgotten, great. But if you then decide to do something with it, I would love to know what that is. If you drop a comment, or you send me a message on Instagram, or you have my email address, you got my phone number, let me know. I am interested. There is no one way to live well. There are some things that are common across the practitioners, the experts, and the people like you and I that I'm lucky enough to talk with on the podcast. But there are always going to be viewpoints to welcome in, whether they align, whether they contradict, so we can all better understand what it means to be fit in 2026. But I can't do this by myself. I can't believe that we're almost on for a year of this. But we wouldn't be if you hadn't suggested topics, if you hadn't suggested guests, and maybe even put me in touch with people to speak with. So where do you want fitness and thinking to go into its second year? What should we tackle? What sort of show format should we have? I would love you to let me know what you've enjoyed, what you'd like to see more of. I'm going to put a best of episode together for next week, bringing in some of the moments that stood out for me and have made an impact on people's lives based on the comments that I've received and enjoyed reading. Yeah, I think that this thing has legs. It's got no budget. It's just got the microphones and the laptop to edit on. The lighting in the background based on other YouTubers that I've seen and how they try and improve their production values. I've got a light here. I've been thinking about my natural lighting and framing here. I'm using software at the moment that will cost £250 a year. All of this is worthwhile if you think it is. And if you think it's a crock of shite, let me know so I don't waste your time or mine. All right, that's it from me. Much love. I'll see you in episode 50.